Hello and welcome to the English 2 curriculum preview for the second 6 weeks. This 6 weeks, our focus is on nonfiction literary essays and research, and also drama is included in this 6 weeks. So your main reading strategies are the drama, literary nonfiction. The drama standard for English 2 focuses on the analysis of archetypes and motifs and how these affect the plot of plays. Students are still responsible for previous standards with drama dealing with dialect and how dialect reveals character, and also how the staging of a play affects the action and the meaning, specifically looking at stage directions and character. For the standard on literary nonfiction, it's really important to remember that your students have only been working with speeches since 8th grade. The standard actually calls for evaluate the role of syntax and diction and the effect of voice, tone, and imagery on a speech, literary essay, or other forms of literary nonfiction. Students are probably familiar with a literary essay and maybe other forms of literary nonfiction, but they're not very comfortable with a speech since it was only mentioned specifically in the standards since 8th grade. We have to also remember that the strand of the literary nonfiction standard is important, and that's understand, make inferences, and draw conclusions about the varied structural patterns and features of literary nonfiction, and provide evidence from the text to support their understanding. In English 1, with this standard, students looked at how personal examples and ideas were combined with facts to present information to an audience. But English 2 is the first introduction to the idea of syntax and diction. Voice, tone, and imagery should have been previously introduced through instruction on sensory language, but students will need a review of these things. However, they have not learned about syntax and diction, and so they really need to focus not only on what they are, but also how the syntax and the diction contribute to the meaning of the piece. What is the purpose of them? This moves the students to the evaluatory role. Students also need to analyze the effects of voice, tone, and imagery, not just be able to pick out examples, but be able to discuss why did the author make the choice to use these things. Close reading could be a really good strategy, especially with a speech, to get students to this evaluation and analysis. Remember, we start with what does the text say, and that's the literal meaning, and then move to how does the text work, what is the structure. That's where you could really get into the syntax, the diction, the voice, the tone, and the imagery. Then we focus on what does the text mean, the inferential level, and then we move to the last level, what does the text inspire you to do? And this lends itself to the OER task for this 6 weeks very well, and that could be their task based on their close reading. Your writing standards include the standards for an analytical essay, an OER, and a persuasive essay. Since you also have research, I would consider pairing one of these essays with the research. It could be an analytical essay or a persuasive essay. Since persuasive is what you're judged on in STAR, it might be a good idea to really use research as a way to bring that research of a claim, You also have research for this 6 weeks, and I'd like to encourage you to consider varied forms for research projects. It does not necessarily have to be a traditional research paper. It could be an essay, even a multi-genre essay. It could be a presentation. It could be a video. The goal would be to have the students in persuasive form making a good, solid argument and substantiating their claim with facts and support. And then also, if it's an essay, to have factual information correctly cited and sourced that is logical and organized. You have access to Turnitin.com to check originality and to have students submit their papers. And we need to remember that feedback on all parts of the process is critical. If students don't have a good understanding of the research process, then we're really not setting them up to be college and career ready. They need to have an understanding of how the process of research works and how it can change throughout the process. So you need to set up a feedback loop with peers and individuals and yourself so that they can have feedback not just on the final project, but on every piece along the way. I hope you have a great 6 weeks. Enjoy.